high definition. From KGMB, this is your source for breaking news. Hawaii News Now at 6.
A day to pay tribute. A day to remember.
75 years ago, they were about to conduct morning colors when they were surprised to hear the sounds of real bombs bursting in air.
A day to honor those killed.
At that dawn's early light, they ran to battle stations and to the sound of the guns.
And those who survived.
You felt the shock, endured the grief.
75 years after the attack on Pearl Harbor, military leaders,
We salute your service and your sacrifice.
veterans and civilians, surrounded the waters that entomb the dead to share their stories and inspire future generations.
As the legacy and lessons of Pearl Harbor are passed to our children and our children's children.
To never forget the day when warplanes filled the skies above Oahu, when bombs rained on the harbor.
The sacrifices made by those who served here on December 7th, 1941.
The day that lives in infamy. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our special edition of Hawaii News Now at 6. Today, we mark the 75th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. Ke'ahi Tucker and Stephanie Lum are at Ford Island tonight and join us with all of today's remembrance events. Hi, guys.
Good evening, Lynn. We are in front of the memorial where 4 of the 5 living survivors of the USS Arizona returned 75 years after they escaped their burning ship.
They were among several dozen Pearl Harbor survivors and about 300 World War II veterans who traveled here from across the country to be here this week to mark this solemn anniversary.
We have live team coverage from Waikiki to Pearl Harbor. We'll be hearing from visitors and survivors.
We'll also take you live to an interment ceremony granting a sailor his final wish. We start tonight with Jim Mendoza and today's commemoration.
Survivors of that terrible day 75 years ago utter the same words as present-day sailors. December 7th is all about honoring those who died at Pearl Harbor.
On this day of infamy, we ask that you would bless the memory of the heroes who distinguished themselves that fateful morning and in the days and years that followed.
As the yearly commemorations add up, they also subtract. Survivors' ranks are thinning.
It's the passing of the World War II generation, as if you and I and all your audience is watching a parade, and that parade is about to end.
USS Arizona sailor Donald Stratton suffered burns to 75% of his body.
I was medically discharged. I was out for a year. I re-enlisted again, went back through boot camp in Farragut, and they put me on a destroyer, and I made 5 more invasions.
Hundreds of World War II veterans attended the 75th commemoration.
I am mainly concerned with my honor for the men aboard the ship that died, the Arizona. That's my main concern, that honor go to them.
Thousands of people packed into Kilo Pier.
We're going to have 19-year-old sailors in the audience today with survivors that are in their 90s. What a great chance to learn from them and be inspired in their service.
I told them, thank you for your service. Thank you for paving the way for us. Thank you for fighting for the people that couldn't, and just carrying their pride every day of what they did.
Stratton is 94. From his generation to this generation, he offers these words.
We're in trouble with ISIS right now like we were with Japan, and we can't let this happen again. Those who survived Pearl Harbor also left us a warning. Remember Pearl Harbor.
keep America alert.
Only 5 USS Arizona shipmates who lived through the sinking of their battleship are still with us. Today was their day. Jim Mendoza, Hawaii News Now.
And today's events also included a ceremony to mark the sinking of the USS Oklahoma. It was hit by as many as 12 torpedoes and capsized within 14 minutes. 429 crew members were killed.
At the Pearl Harbor Visitor Center today, a large mural was on display, including pictures of most of the service members who lost their lives on December 7th, 1941. A visitor found a picture of her uncle, who was among the 2,400 service members and civilians killed that day. The mural was taken to the Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade, now underway in Waikiki.
And today was part of a trip of a lifetime for many families who traveled far just to be here for this historic event.
Chelsea Davis continues our team coverage.
An emotional day for family members of those veterans as thousands from all over the world gathered here today. Some have been planning for this once-in-a-lifetime trip for more than a decade. For many, this historic trip to Hawaii was a pilgrimage to honor loved ones, both those who survived the attack and those who didn't.
It was fantastic, very moving. My uncle was on the USS Nevada. That's why I'm wearing his hat, and his name is on the hat.
Lee Woods came from Texas, Karen Flem from Minnesota.
I thought it was a beautiful, very emotional service. I thought that they did a wonderful job of coordinating. It was humbling to see all of the veterans. Totally enjoyable.
Some planned for this trip for more than 10 years, like the Miranda family. 19 of them flew in from California, South Carolina, even France, to honor Vic Miranda, a father, uncle, grandfather, great-grandfather, and great-great-grandfather who died just last year.
I keep the words that he wrote to us all dear at heart. You know, remember Pearl Harbor, keep America alert. That was his saying. That's what he told us, and that it's just something that I wake up and I think about every day and walk around with me.
27 members of the Echo family flew in from Texas for the special event. Their family patriarch, Bill, was stationed at Pearl Harbor the day of the attack.
On the morning of December the 7th, he was walking across the bow of his ship to go to breakfast, and he heard an airplane, and he looked up, and he noticed that it had a orange sun or spot on the tail, and he said, oh my gosh, that's Japanese. And he saw one of the first bombs being dropped.
Echo, who was aboard the USS New Orleans, died 4 years ago. His family says they're honored to represent him.
I'm in awe at the number of people that are here to honor this event. So glad that my family came in the memory of my grandfather. I know my grandparents are looking down, they're very proud.
Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
Well, there have been a great many events this week commemorating the attacks. Today, a solemn ceremony at the USS Arizona Memorial reunited 2 sailors with their shipmates.
Our Ben Gutierrez joined us live from the Pearl Harbor Visitor Center with that story. Ben.
Kahi Steph, 75 years ago today, 1,177 sailors and Marines lost their lives aboard the USS Arizona in the attack on Pearl Harbor. Today, 2 sailors who managed to survive that attack were reunited with their shipmates on the USS Arizona. John Anderson and Clarendon Hetrick were honored in solemn ceremonies aboard the Arizona Memorial. While thousands attended this morning's commemoration, only family members, invited guests, and dignitaries witnessed the interment in person. The urns carrying Anderson's and Hetrick's ashes were taken by Navy divers to their final resting place in gun turret 4 of the sunken Arizona. They joined 36 other attack survivors who have been interred aboard the ship through the years. And in Anderson's case, he's reunited with his twin brother Jake, who died in the attack 75 years ago today. Now, this is the first and likely the only double interment ceremony that will be held aboard the USS Arizona. There are only 5 remaining Arizona survivors, as you've heard, and that means that today's ceremony may be among the last of its kind. Reporting live from the Pearl Harbor Visitor Center, Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Ben. President Obama released a statement today thanking veterans and survivors of Pearl Harbor for their courage and sacrifice that inspires all of us. Later this month, he will visit Pearl Harbor, and for the first time ever, the Prime Minister of Japan will join him to pay tribute.
President-elect Donald Trump also released a statement today honoring the heroes who, quote, selflessly gave their lives. He echoed President Franklin Roosevelt, calling December 7th a date that will forever live in infamy.
Well, at this hour, the sounds of marching bands. Excuse me. Members of the 25th Infantry Division laid a wreath at Fort DeRussy in Waikiki to pay tribute to those who served at Schofield Barracks and Wheeler Army Airfield, where the Japanese Imperial Fleet took down American aircraft. And back to the sounds of the marching bands filling the streets of Waikiki tonight.
It is a festive evening down there, a parade honoring Pearl Harbor veterans. Our JoBeth DeVera is live in Waikiki with that. JoBeth.
Aloha, Keahi and Steph. Yes, we're standing along Kalakaua Avenue here tonight near Saratoga Road, where the official Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade is just getting ready to start. Hundreds, if not thousands of people are here lining the street, getting ready to witness history in the making. Now, more than 100 talented performing groups, local, state, and national dignitaries, along with military groups, are going to be marching down Kalakaua Avenue tonight. Earlier today, during the opening ceremony at Kuroda Field, Governor David Ige, actor and humanitarian Gary Sinise from the movie Forrest Gump, and a handful of Pearl Harbor survivors spoke on stage. It was a beautiful sight to see. The parade theme tonight is remembering the past and celebrating the future. Will provide a meaningful tribute to our veterans and armed forces. Marching bands from all over the country practice playing the Star-Spangled Banner together, including Florida, Maryland, Colorado, and New York. We caught up with the JROTC from Benson High School in Omaha, Nebraska, who were all excited to be here in Hawaii for the first time.
The presence of being around all the greatest generation ever and everything is just leaves you tingling all over your body.
Shortly, and it will proceed down Kalakaua Avenue for about a mile. It will end at the Waikiki Shell, where an evening concert will be held for all the participants in the parade tonight. Such a beautiful sight to see here. Everyone joining together to share the spirit of America right here in Hawaii. The parade will begin shortly, so if you are making your way to Waikiki, just be prepared for heavy traffic and limited parking. Reporting live tonight from Waikiki, JoBeth DeVera, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, JoBeth, and great weather for the parade, and we had beautiful weather for today's commemoration ceremony this morning.
Turned out to be just gorgeous. It felt a little humid at first. We were worried it might rain, but it did not. And now I feel a cool breeze at our backs. Yeah. Let's turn things over to Guy Hoggy live at the Mighty Mo with our first forecast. Guy.
That's right, yeah, Steph, that's exactly what happened. Hot and humid this afternoon, some clouds built up, and now we got that land breeze that's going to allow those clouds to dissipate. We're in for a fine evening, especially in Waikiki, where they're having that parade. Now, the theme of the parade is remembering the past, celebrating the future, and they are going to celebrate tonight in Waikiki with some pretty nice conditions. Temperature's going to be a little on the toasty side, but with those land breezes coming in, humidity levels will start to lower. It's going to be comfortable tonight in Waikiki, and chance of rain 10%, even slimmer than that. My guess would be. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to be dry for the next several days. In fact, we are expecting increasing showers starting tomorrow, especially late in the day with those afternoon clouds building up so thick and so dark. We could even get some heavy downpours, and that's going to start tomorrow, and that weather pattern will likely linger for the next several days, along with, like we told you earlier, those winter conditions for the Big Island summits. There's also some surf to talk about, and we'll check that out coming up a little bit later. Kai, Steph, back to you.
Thank you very much, Guy. We are enjoying the change in our breezy trade winds for sure, and our coverage live here at Pearl Harbor continues in just a bit.
More news ahead tonight. We'll turn things over to Lynn Kawano in our studio. Lynn.
All right, Keahi and Steph, thanks. We'll check back in with them later. Still ahead, though, on the show, An extension for the cash-strapped rail project. How much longer the feds are giving the city to find more money. We'll be right back. The city is getting a 4-month extension from the feds to try and secure more funding for the rail project. The Federal Transit Administration is giving the city until April 30th to submit a recovery plan to build the entire 20-mile route, which is billions over budget and years behind schedule. The original deadline was this month, but the city asked that it be pushed back while they work to get a new tax extension from the legislature. Rail officials say they should know if lawmakers will support the tax extension by the new federal deadline. New at 6 warrants have been issued for the arrests of these 5 men charged with failing to re-register as sex offenders. Calvin Kuahivi-Nui, Jarvis Pilago II, Robert Caspino, Travis Baki, and Troy Pacheco have all been convicted of sex assault. Anyone with information should call the Attorney General's office at 586-1240. Live look outside still ahead. We go back out to Pearl Harbor on this day of remembrance. Guy's going to have our forecast next on KGMB.
Aloha, everybody, from here near the USS Missouri on this Pearl Harbor Day. We are looking at some pretty nice weather. Take a look at what we expect tonight. A little hazy, a little warm because of the light winds. Chance of showers pretty thin. We will see a few minor splashes here and there. Now, tomorrow, more light winds, more unstable conditions, maybe some heavy downpours in the afternoon, but they will be spotty, not widespread, but more rain expected tomorrow than what we had today. Surf is going to be fun size up in the country. I talked to Marty Thomas, contest director for the Billabong Pipeline Masters, and there's a chance that they run in the morning. Conditions will be great, just not going to be all that big. They're expecting another swell by next week. Now, over the next few days, these light winds will persist, and that means more morning sunshine, afternoon clouds, some heavy downpours here and there, nothing widespread, some haze and humidity as well. So it's going to be a little sticky for the next several days, a little warm, not really like winter time conditions, but this is what we've got. And still, it's the best weather on the planet. When we come back, we'll check out sports. Don't go away.
Welcome back. We're here at historic Block Arena, which was built back in August 1941. It survived the attack on Pearl Harbor. In fact, the Battle of Music was played here the night before on December 6th. Today, the venue is host to the Pearl Harbor Invitational and a pair of college basketball games.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for them to give back to the community and for us to come out and kind of support them. They played a great game, but it's really neat that they get to come out here and do this in Hawaii. So it's good that they give back to the service members. I say go Rainbow Warriors. Hopefully come out and get a win.
Now that's what it's all about, giving back to these brave men and women. Hawaii taking on Princeton this afternoon. Of course, UH lost to Seton Hall last night. Noah Allen held scoreless in that game on 0 for 7 shooting, but he gets off to a good start in this one. Scores the opening bucket for UH, but the Tigers scored 8 straight from there. Gibson Johnson, who's one of the standouts last night, he stops the bleeding with a deep 3. But sloppy play, like last night, once again the issue for the Bows. Brock Steptoe turns it over. Princeton going the other way. They missed the lay-in, but Stephen Cook on the follow. Timeout UH. It's 21-9 at that point. Sharif Dramé, he would help pull the Bows closer. He gets the bucket and the foul. UH down 7, but the Tigers just seem to have an answer for everything, and it was all because of Stephen Cook. Lights out from long range in the first half. Bows were down 20 at the half, and they continue to trail by 20 here late in the second half. First game of the day featured a Seton Hall team that beat those Rainbow Warriors yesterday. They were taking on Cal. Crazy sequence in the second half. On the break, Desi Rodriguez cocks it back and hammers it down. But no time to celebrate, because here come the Golden Bears the other way, and it's Jabari Bird on the alley-oop. And, well, that answer, despite it looking beautiful, it was not enough, as Seton Hall wins 60-57. In college football now, Colorado quarterback Sefo Liufau was named the Polynesian College Football Player of the Year. Liufau became CU's all-time leading passer while leading the Buffaloes to the biggest single-season turnaround in Pac-12 history, going from 4-9 last year to 10-2 in Pac-12 South champions. He's the third to win the award and second quarterback following Marcus Mariota. Elsewhere in the Pac-12, Oregon hired Mark Helfrich's replacement in South Florida's Willie Taggart. Taggart rebuilt the programs at Western Kentucky and USF after a stint as an assistant coach at Stanford. Taggart beat out Mississippi State's Dan Mullen for the job, thanks in part to recommendations from Tony Dungy and Michigan's Jim Harbaugh. Taggart will be introduced in Eugene tomorrow morning. Back here at Block Arena, we'll have full highlights and post-game reactions coming up later tonight. For now, live at Pearl Harbor, Colin Harmon, Hawaii News Now.
Back here live along the USS Missouri with the USS Arizona as our backdrop. The events to mark this day and to honor the survivors and all those who lost their lives continues.
That's right. The parade just getting underway in Waikiki. Tomorrow night, there's another Sunset on the Beach movie night in Waikiki. In fact, the events continue through Sunday. What a week it's been, and what a moving image we send you off with tonight. To all of you out there who've joined us on this very special day, we want to say mahalo for honoring the Pearl Harbor service members. For Stephanie Lum and Lynn Kawano, I'm Keahi Tucker. Aloha.